Lightning set a condo ablaze.
That stormy weather was seen across our region after a weather maker unleashed a number of storms, several of them taking a severe turn. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mary Bubala.
And I'm Maxine Stryker in for Kai. Fox 45 News has been tracking more unsettled weather moving through the region. Here's a live look from the Fox 45 Chevy Storm Tracker. The weather quickly changing in the last few minutes. Right now, we're keeping an eye on the chance for isolated storms the next couple of hours.
Let's provide you with some more live images. You are looking at live conditions from Baltimore to Towson to Ocean City. We saw plenty of sunshine early on with lots of humidity. The rain now moving in.
Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers is here now with a check of the forecast.
Yeah, and we might want to change that banner on the bottom. Those storms have become a lot more widespread than initially anticipated. We're actually seeing those come together. They were isolated, maybe about an hour or two ago. Had a couple of warnings, but now actually a solid line beginning to come together. Severe thunderstorm warning now in place for Baltimore City, Baltimore County. That's going to last us until about 4:30 p.m. Strong winds up to about 60 miles an hour, maybe in gusts a little bit higher. Also the potential of, just like yesterday, some hail and also some very heavy rain out of these. In fact, unlike yesterday, on top of severe thunderstorm warnings that are up around Harford County, where these poor folks are still trying to recover from that fire at Bel Air. On top of that, we are talking now about the potential of flooding. You can see the blinking red box as well as this green box is right around Bright Oak. These are all different flood warnings that are in place right here, right around Jarrettsville. It looks like it's kind of coexisting. There we go. With the severe thunderstorm warning, but an aerial flood warning. So in other words, some of the bodies of water could be experiencing some overwash and some flooding. We've seen up to about 2-3 inches of rain, an additional ½ inch, maybe an inch and a half of rain coming out of this in a very quick period of time. This is why we have some of those flood warnings there. And then also down around Severna Park in Annapolis, this portion of the line under a severe thunderstorm warning until 4:45 p.m. And then up around Green Haven, there's a severe thunderstorm warning that continues until 4:30. So varying amounts of time left on some of these warnings. But these will be impacting the remainder of your afternoon and evening commute all the way through about 4, 5, 6 o'clock. Some strong storms rolling through. By about sunset should calm down. But of course, we're tracking this live severe weather as it's coming through hour by hour, minute by minute. That's in my full Weather Authority forecast.
Well, take a look at this sky show from yesterday. Our viewer Brian sent us this video from West Baltimore. This was above Rogers Station. You can see the skies get lit up multiple times by Mother Nature. Wow. And check this storm damage out in Towson. Our viewer Jason sending this through Chime In. The storm toppled a number of trees onto this home, one of them breaking through the roof.
And let's check in on those power outages right now. BGE reporting 151 active outages affecting nearly 500 customers. Towson is seeing a large number of those right now.
The Fox 45 Weather Authority team is tracking unsettled weather for the next couple of days, so make sure to keep the WBFF Weather Authority app close by. Just go to your app store and search for WBFF to get started.
We are following breaking news from overnight. A firefighter has lost his life in St. Mary's County. The fire broke out around 5 this morning in Leonardtown. We're told the firefighter got trapped inside the two-story home. It then collapsed and he ended up falling into the basement. Crews managed to pull him out, but he was later pronounced dead at the hospital.
That's where we're at. We're grieving the loss right now, and thoughts and prayers to the family and to the larger Navy team. We lost a true hero this morning that went in without hesitation to save others and lost his own life in the process.
They have not yet released the name of the firefighter who was killed today. A volunteer firefighter was also injured battling that house fire.
Also breaking, Baltimore County Police are investigating a shooting in Essex. The crime scene is on South Maryland Avenue. Police say they found an adult man who had been shot just before noon today. He's in the hospital, listed in critical condition. No word on a suspect.
And this just in, former Laurel Police Chief David Crawford has received 2 consecutive life sentences. He was convicted back in March on murder and arson charges. Prosecutors say he set a string of fires across 6 Maryland counties over a 10-year period. The fires targeted people like his neighbors, former co-workers, even his chiropractor. The 71-year-old entered an Alford plea but maintains his innocence.
This lawsuit will make clear to the courts, and we hope to the public, that BG&E is not on your side, They are doing what they've always done, protecting and profiting off of the backs of customers in Baltimore City.
Those bold allegations today from a group of Baltimore residents suing BGE as the utility company installs thousands of external gas regulators throughout Baltimore.
More than 100 people have now signed onto that class action lawsuit accusing the utility company of illegally threatening gas shutoffs if they don't agree to have gas regulators installed outside of their homes.
Fox 45's Amy Simpson has the latest.
Sidewalks and streets torn up in some Baltimore neighborhoods, all part of BGE's project to install external gas regulators. Some residents so strongly opposed to the new outside gas meters, 3 women spent a night in jail for intentionally blocking utility crews in Federal Hill last week.
This is an abomination.
Those protesters, now among more than 100 Baltimoreans, suing BGE, hoping a judge will halt construction.
We are asking for immediate action. We're asking for an emergency hearing to make sure this gets resolved as quickly as possible.
That lawsuit filed Friday. An attorney for the residents says lawyers and the court are still working behind the scenes to get schedules in order as they try to set a hearing for a temporary restraining order. They're pushing back on BGE's claim that external gas regulators are to improve safety and speed up natural gas delivery.
We're not falling for it. This isn't about safety. This is about profits.
Among the exhibits entered in this class action lawsuit, this February 2020 position statement from BGE to Maryland's General Assembly on the topic of external regulators.
360, how many ambulances do we have responding to this incident?
Maryland legislators were considering legislation in response to this 2016 deadly gas explosion at a Silver Spring apartment complex. BGE has several densely populated areas, such as Baltimore City, that don't often provide for appropriate open outside space to allow for outside meter or regular installations. BGE said in part, also writing the utility needs to consider laws that prevent locating equipment on public rights of way, in historic locations, or in conflict with the American Disability Act standards. Today, we questioned BGE about why its position on installing external regulators in Baltimore City has changed in the last 3.5 years. BGE said in a statement it supported the bill with amendments, recommending the legislation be modified to allow BGE situational exceptions if it was unable to install a regulator. Also saying the bill was ultimately modified to adjust for safety and ADA compliance. Meantime, those suing the utility company calling for construction to halt while they wait for a judge to take up the case.
They're so confident they're going to prevail in court. Just take a minute to allow these homeowners to not have their gas cut off while there is pending litigation.
That was Amy Simpson reporting. Today, BGE also said it cannot comment on active litigation.
Well, new today, Fox 45 News is asking questions after some defendants in 2 recent drug trafficking busts have been granted pre-trial release. Alexa Ashwell is live with what we know about these defendants and what officials have to say about the decisions. Alexa?
Yes, Mary, one of those cases coming out of Baltimore City where we are, the other Anne Arundel County, and in both, as you mentioned, some of those defendants granted pretrial release. Just last week in Anne Arundel County, authorities announcing 10 people indicted in what was the biggest cocaine bust in the police department's history. 7 of them granted pretrial release. And here in Baltimore, authorities also just announcing the takedown of a drug trafficking ring. Nearly all of those 8 defendants have criminal histories. 2 of them granted pretrial release. The mayor acknowledging the longstanding concern with Maryland's home monitoring systems, including the proper monitoring of defendants and the risk of those defendants committing other crimes.
I'll take a point of privilege to highlight the frustrations that we've had with home monitoring over the years, as you all know that. So we'll be monitoring that very closely because we've known that, unfortunately, folks of home monitoring seem to not be monitored sometimes.
When questioned, Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates says it's a decision that falls in the hands of a judge. Still, concern remains. The response we received from the Maryland Attorney General's office at 5. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Hours spent debating which flag should be allowed in Anne Arundel County classrooms. Tonight, Fox 45 News examines whether that time could have been better used.
The results of a Project Baltimore investigation 1 year later, the progress for families who say the school system violated their rights.
And ahead of an automatic jump in the cost of gasoline in Maryland, why some lawmakers say it isn't right.
And we are getting hammered by severe storms this early rush hour. I'm going to be tracking those through the afternoon commute coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
Fox 45 News, winner of 16 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Fox 45 News tracking severe weather outside right now. This is a live look near Little Italy. The roads are definitely wet there. The weather quickly changing in the last 2 minutes with heavy rain coming down. Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers will join us in just a few minutes with the latest word on the forecast.
And once again, the best bet is to go to one of the public displays and leave the fireworks to the professionals and enjoy a really good show that way and be safe.
We're exactly 1 week from the 4th of July. In Howard County today, officials held a demonstration on fireworks safety. Parents are reminded to pay close attention to their children because fireworks can cause permanent damages. We have more tips at foxbaltimore.com.
And meantime, record travel is expected for Independence Day weekend. AAA predicts 50.7 million Americans will travel 50 miles or more. 43.2 million will be driving to those destinations. In Maryland, travel experts predict more than 995,000 people will be traveling over the upcoming holiday weekend. And ahead of the holiday, gas prices going up in Maryland.
The state's automatic gas tax increase will go into effect July 1st. The tax will go up 10%, making it a total of 47 cents per gallon.
That is a lot. Joining us live now is State Delegate Kathy Shalega. Thank you so much for being here to talk to us about this.
Great to be with you, ladies.
We know the state's gas tax is tied with inflation. There is and was a push to stop this automatic increase so we don't keep seeing this. What's your reaction as we brace for this big increase this weekend?
Right. On Saturday, the gas tax will go up again. And people should know that every year on July 1st, the gas tax goes up automatically. It's wrong. We need to put an end to the automatic gas tax increase. And, you know, every year we try to do that in Annapolis. Right now, it's going to be 47 cents a gallon. And if it continues on the same trajectory, in 10 years, it'll be $1.08 a gallon in taxes.
Wow, even 47 cents is significant right now. Proceeds from the gas tax, they go towards road improvements. How do you think the state could cover those costs instead?
Well, the gas tax goes to road improvements, but a larger portion of it goes to mass transit. So I think we need to realign some of that, because 92% of the people drive their cars and they want to have safe and good roads to drive on, while 8% use mass transit. Of course, we want to support mass transit, but it's a little uneven right now. So I don't think we don't need more taxes. We just need to spend that money right.
And really quickly, we know Governor Moore is big on the reviving the red line. Do you have any faith then that we will see any change in this automatic gas tax increase?
No, I wish that were not on the table. The red line is just not affordable, and it's not sustainable. Tunneling underneath of Baltimore near the harbor is not environmentally conscientious, and we just can't afford it. There aren't enough people that will ride it. What we really need to do is concentrate on road improvements, making them safer, and expanding them like we're doing on 95.
All right, that gas tax going into effect this Saturday. We have been speaking with Maryland Delegate Kathy Szeliga. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We are also looking ahead to this weekend as recreational marijuana becomes legal in Maryland. Coming up in our 5 o'clock hour, what is allowed, what isn't, as the new law takes effect Saturday.
Well, we are now under weather alert, and you can see the sky cams and all of our traffic cams, most of them, except for Ocean City, in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, being impacted by some strong storms rolling in, and especially bad, that Lynn Stoller traffic network camera there. You can see the roads are wet, the traffic is slow, and of course the timing on this is not good. Here at 4:17 in the afternoon, we've got at least 2 or 3 severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing. There's one for Anne Arundel County, which actually has been breaking up a little bit. So this is looking better here for the city and points south. But this one, south toward Annapolis in the Bay Bridge, that is not good. That is a severe thunderstorm warning running through 4:45 p.m. So that's a good time to get into your safe place there. Right at the base of the Bay Bridge. That is going to be harrowing this time of day. High winds, as well as potentially some large hail out of this. Could be like yesterday, that dime nickel size hail. And then through 4:30 p.m., there's also a severe thunderstorm warning right around Miami Beach and Breezy Point Beach, Rossville. So southern portions of Baltimore County on into Harford County. And then on top of all of this, so we take that off, you can see all the blinking red and green boxes here. What those are flood warnings as well as flash flood warnings. So these have been putting down some prolific amounts of rainfall. This is a flood warning here in green, basically encompasses Baltimore City all the way up to Bel Air, so 95 included here. That means that as you make travels, there could be some overwash on some of the local waterways, some of the local rivers, streams could be approaching bankful. A solid 1 to 3 inches of rain have fallen in these areas, and these red boxes, those are your flash flood warnings that are in effect. No surprise why in those same areas, kind of co-located, even though still, again, we're under a moderate to severe drought area wide. You just don't want to see 2 to 3 inches of rain like that. And that's what we're seeing this afternoon. It's all running off into all the catch basins on some of the roadways and causing some localized flooding. So up 95. Really close to 95, in fact, just north and west of it. This is where we've got some of the heaviest rain that's fallen, up to 2 to 3 inches into Harford County, and then Odenton down to Baldwin Hills. That band of cells has begun to collapse, but still that's put down about 2 to 3 inches solid of rain. So rain and thunderstorms, again, very slow moving cold front that's been coming through. Started approaching yesterday. That's why we had the severe weather yesterday, and it's finishing its exit today, but it's kind of falling apart as it does so. Eventually, drier air is going to be a part of the forecast, but it takes till tomorrow for that to get here. For now, evil-looking skies over Baltimore on the Toyota Oceana Harbor Skycam. Time to take cover if you're under any of these warned areas. 71 degrees. And some good rain coming down now at Baltimore's BWI. Winds are calm, thankfully, there. But again, isolated wind gusts up to about 60, 65, maybe 70 miles an hour, not out of the question. Humidity at 81%, and our dew points are in the mid-60s. So it's still sticky, still steamy, still muggy. And we still have, again, some of those severe cells. This is 4:15 p.m. on our computer model rendition. And then this moves on to the eastern shore by about 5:30 and actually diminishes by about 6 to 7 o'clock. So hopefully, again, these cells will kind of stabilize things a bit. But there still could be an additional shower or storm risk all the way through about 9, 10 o'clock tonight. After midnight, that is all gone, and things will quiet down. Now, good news, we're going to see some rain. We need the rain. We need it desperately. 1 to 2 inches of rain. Some of these could be a little underdone in spots here in Baltimore, and maybe a little bit less on the eastern shore as these diminish. Now, tomorrow, a quieter day. Less humid, 84 degrees. Outside chance of a sprinkle. Nice dry day on Thursday, 88 as we head towards the July 4th holiday weekend. Looks like normal summertime fare for Friday. Spot storms, heat and humidity returning in the afternoon. 87 on Saturday, 89 on Sunday. Scattered storms both days, but those should begin to diminish as we head toward fireworks displays July 4th on Tuesday. But till then, of course, stay weather alert, and we will be tracking these hour by hour, minute by minute as these strong cells move through central Maryland and Baltimore.
Well, we now know who the next host of Wheel of Fortune is. It is Ryan Seacrest. The American Idol and former morning show host will take over for the retiring Pat Sajak next year. Seacrest says he is truly humbled to be stepping into the footsteps of Sajak and says he's eager to learn from him. Vanna White will continue to co-host. You can catch Wheel of Fortune right here on Fox 45 tonight at 7:30. New malaria infections recorded in the U.S. for the first time in 20 years, where the cases were found and the advice. And a debate going on in Anne Arundel County over what flags can be displayed in the classroom. We'll have the very latest. The U.S. Supreme Court is siding with state courts in a big elections case, effectively leaving them the authority to determine if congressional district maps are gerrymandered. The justices ruled on a 6-3 vote that the North Carolina Supreme Court was correct in deeming the Republican-drawn map partisan. It is a loss for Republicans who have tried to argue state courts can't strike down these maps. North Carolina's map will be redrawn ahead of 2024. An audio recording of former President Trump discussing secret documents he did not declassify has been obtained by CNN.
Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. But look at this.
The recording is a critical piece of evidence in Special Counsel Jack Smith's indictment of Trump for alleged mishandling of classified information. Prosecutors allege Trump showed a writer, publisher, and staff members classified information about a plan of attack on Iran. A former White House lawyer says it doesn't sound good for Trump.
It bolsters the government's claim under the Espionage Act. It also bolsters their claim, under the obstruction case. Because, one of the things he's been saying all along is that he could just, wave a magic wand and these documents are declassified.
Former President Trump faces 37 felony charges. He says the prosecution is politically motivated and he is not guilty.
Food labels are regulated by the FDA, but others aren't, and they may not mean what you think they do.
How accurate are food labels? We put popular brands to the test. Project Baltimore fighting for students' rights. The changes in 4 young lives since their parents came to FOX45 News.
You see it on TV, we see it on TV and we talk about it, and you see these fires, around and, we pray for these people. It must be devastating. And then last night when this happened, I have to tell you, I was in shock. I acted on shock. Then I came out and I just kept watching and it's like, that's everything I own. That's my home.
Well, 29 people have lost their homes in Bel Air after lightning caused a fire last night during the storms.
No one was injured, but some have lost everything in that fire caused by the severe weather.
And this evening, we're under a weather alert again as more storms are moving through. Our newsroom just confirmed there is a ground stop right now at BWI.
Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers joins us with the latest on the weather. Jonathan?
Yeah, and ladies, our prayers go out to those folks, of course. You know, it doesn't take a severe storm to produce lightning that can cause damage like you saw there, setting an apartment complex on fire. Now, on top of that, we're talking about the potential of hail. These are severe storms this afternoon, as well as some winds in excess of 60 miles an hour, perhaps. We just saw our warning drop for Baltimore City area, but now moving over the bay. This is a bad place to be. I wouldn't be surprised if we've got some temporary closures on the Bay Bridge with a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Now moving out of Annapolis and onto the eastern shore, right across the Bay Bridge. In fact, this is going to run until now 5:15 p.m. around that area, Queenstown to Kent Island. And this is where the worst of the weather is. And behind all this, we've got flood warnings all the way from Baltimore City up to Baltimore County. Some rivers and streams could be a bankful. Flash flood warning that goes all the way up towards Cecil County and Anne Arundel County. You're also under a flash flood warning. Rough weather next few hours. I'm going to be tracking this hour by hour on the Future Scan coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
And thanks. The Fox 45 Weather Authority team is tracking unsettled weather for the next couple of days. So make sure to keep the WBFF Weather Authority app close by. Just go to your app store and search WBFF to get started. Anne Arundel County Schools weighing a policy that would ban flags that don't have an educational purpose.
Tonight, Fox 45 is asking leaders if efforts like this are truly what's best for kids and if the issue has distracted from bigger problems impacting students' education.
Olivia Dance joins us live now from Annapolis with the very latest. Olivia?
That's right. The proposed policy was talked about for hours and hours at last night's board meeting, which was right here at school headquarters. But now some are wondering if all of this is taking away from the main focus, which is student achievement. Hundreds of protesters gathering outside Anne Arundel County School headquarters before the board meeting. Some for and some against the proposed flag policy, which would ban flags other than the American, Maryland, Anne Arundel County, and Annapolis flags, effectively banning flags like the pride flag.
I don't know why we're not talking about student achievement. We're going to probably talk about this for hours and hours tonight, and that's hours and hours lost of not talking about our kids and what they need.
School board member Dana Schalheim was right. Most of Monday's board meeting was spent talking about the proposed policy.
I don't think just taking flags out of classrooms or just having an American flag in a classroom is going to solve the issues that we have within the school system now, as far as the test scores falling behind or children falling behind.
Some parents like Carrie Gillespie are concerned about their students' education, especially progress lost during the pandemic.
Our children are still suffering from that. There haven't been discussions that I would like to hear from a state level as far as how are we going to make up those gaps in achievement and learning that were lost.
Maryland Schools report card for the 2021 to 2022 school year showing all grade levels in Anne Arundel County did not meet the criteria for improvement in academic achievement. Despite the flag policy being the main focus right now and not on student performance, Gillespie thinks the policy is a start to improving the school system.
Let's get the distractions out of classrooms. Let's return the focus to academics and to teaching our children the core subjects.
County board member Melissa Ellis agrees more time needs to be spent on academics, but also says that's what the proposed flag policy is about.
The classroom really is for learning. And it's not the place to enact social justice. It is the place to develop the mind so that our students can become the citizens that are going to carry us all forward.
So far, over 1,000 public comments have been made on the proposed policy, and the public can still make comments before the next board meeting. The next meeting is July 12th, where there will most likely be a final vote. For now, reporting live in Annapolis, I'm Olivia Dance, Fox 45 News.
It started with one Baltimore City mom who came forward with a stunning story. Despite missing most of the school year, her son was marked present for classes he wasn't attending and given grades for work he had not done.
When 3 other families came forward with similar stories, Fox 45 News exposed a much bigger problem. Project Baltimore's Chris Papp shows us what's happened in the years since then.
4 Baltimore City students with disabilities. Each one had their federal education rights violated when city schools did not provide them with the education that they deserve. But after Project Baltimore first told their stories, Quante, Shy, Darian, and Braylon began receiving the services they need. And now, 1 year later, we've learned that's not all that's changed.
So this is Mom's garden.
School's out.
No, that one purple. And that one pink.
Summer
And I could see
is in full bloom.
orange and yellow and red. Same old thing.
And 8-year-old Darian Flood
Oh, these?
just finished 2nd grade.
Yeah.
But 1 year ago,
2, 3.
life was not so sweet.
I feel like I've been humiliated to actually have to come forth and share my life, his life.
Whitney Davis is Darian's mother.
Because these were very hard moments for not just myself, but my family and him as well.
Darian has epilepsy and suffers regular seizures. He requires a full-time private duty nurse at school.
This one is a little crooked, but it's okay. Just keep going.
So when his mother first contacted Project Baltimore in May 2022, she was desperate.
What about your last name? Is this your last name?
Darian was a 1st grader at Pimlico Elementary in Northwest Baltimore, but he had missed nearly the entire school year because Baltimore City schools did not provide him with a nurse, which is part of his federally mandated IEP, or Individualized Education Program. At the time, Darian's report card showed he was attending class, even when his mother said he was sitting at home with her. And Project Baltimore obtained timesheets for a nurse who claimed to be caring for Darian at school, even though he was in the hospital. Davis says the school system never explained why. The sources tell Fox 45 state agencies are investigating.
We don't have answers, and I'm pretty sure that we'll never have any.
But what Darian does have
Those are the chills I need.
is a nurse. At Pimlico, he is now getting the services he needs, but he's far behind.
He's at a 1st grade level academically and at 3rd grade, which is, I think, is unfair to him. I like to think that I've been somewhat of an inspiration to other moms who feel lost and done wrong by the public school system.
Yes, I'm very worried about it.
Patrice Proctor is one of those moms.
Nothing. He just was home with me.
Yes.
Patrice's son, Braylon Scott, also has epilepsy. And back in 2022, the state found city schools violated his federal education rights by not providing him with a nurse to attend school.
You can look. Come on.
Braylon's family has moved to Baltimore County. His mom told Fox 45, in his new school, he is receiving the services laid out in his IEP. But similar to Darian, he is far behind in his education.
Who's the 5?
What, 5 or 4?
Shy Waddle is making up for lost time, too.
It has been a tremendous change.
Shy's mother, Ebony Frisbee, says her son is now getting the services he needs and is thriving at his new school, Callaway Elementary.
Exactly. Thank you. And it's really fulfilling. I feel like such a proud mom. Like, yay, the fight is, it went somewhere.
Looking back, Frisbee can see the fight paid off, but it came at great expense.
The time off from work, how that affected me greatly. The time away I'm spending from my child to trying to get what he needs. He missed like almost a whole year of school. I shouldn't have had to go through so many obstacles to get something that legally, lawfully, he's supposed to have. Hey, wait, Shy.
When Project Baltimore first met Frisbee, Shy had missed 96 straight days of school. And just like the other students, his report card showed he was marked present.
It's been falsified.
Frisbee was never given a reason for the falsified report cards. North Avenue told Fox 45 some schools did not follow proper grading protocol and were held accountable. But we never learned what that meant. When a former city principal told us the report cards were falsified to secure funding, The superintendent refused to address the allegation.
Powerful allegation. The allegation is that you're falsifying report cards.
If you continue to submit questions, we'll answer those.
You'll answer that question?
Absolutely, Chris. Make sure you submit it. So good to see you.
My biggest takeaway from this whole thing is that for any parent that's struggling with Baltimore City schools, I recommend speak out. The more of us that speak out about it, the more something is bound to change. We all come together and we all work together for our children, because they are our tomorrow.
Finally, there's Quante Spearman. Quante missed the first 140 days of his junior year because city schools could not supply him with a nurse. Like the other 3 students, the state found Quante's federal education rights were violated. But after Project Baltimore told his story, his mother says her son began receiving his services. And earlier this month, Quante graduated, the class of 2023. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
Are you concerned about your child's education and have a story you want Project Baltimore to investigate? We want to hear from you. Call the tip line on your screen or send us an email. Russian President Vladimir Putin speaking out after this past weekend's failed rebellion, his message to the country.
Republicans' calls to impeach Attorney General Merrick Garland growing louder, but does he deserve the heat? Coming up, a former AG weighs in.
And still getting absolutely hammered right along the Bay Bridge right now. We've got severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing. I'm going to let you know where the severe weather's headed next, and if we have more on the way. It's my Weather Authority forecast.
An update right now on a ground stop at BWI. The FAA says flight should be resuming by 4:45. A similar ground stop in effect at Reagan right now, and that should be cleared by 5:15. We're back now with the Fox 45 Quad Box. Russian President Vladimir Putin addressing the nation today after this weekend's failed rebellion. Putin thanks security services, which he says averted a civil war. The man who led the attempt is now in exile in Belarus. Now, negligence on the part of a jail guard is being blamed for Jeffrey Epstein's suicide. That's according to a Justice Department watchdog. Epstein took his own life more than 4 years ago while awaiting trial on sex trafficking and conspiracy charges. The man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students could face the death penalty if convicted. Prosecutors say they'll seek capital punishment against Brian Koberger. He is accused of stabbing the 4 students inside their off-campus apartment in November. And Senate Democrats have concluded the FBI and Homeland Security downplayed intel before the January 6th attack at the Capitol. Lawmakers say the attack was being planned openly on social media, but warnings were ignored. Congressional investigators now want to hear from the prosecutor in charge of the Hunter Biden case. That's following the release of whistleblower testimony alleging he faced roadblocks in charging the first son. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins joins us from Washington.
Capitol Hill lawmakers demanding the lead prosecutor on Hunter Biden's case, U.S. Attorney David Weiss, testify before Congress.
We have requested by July 6th Weiss to come in to answer these questions.
Speaker Kevin McCarthy says they want to question Weiss on concerns raised by a pair of IRS whistleblowers. Allegations Garland and the DOJ denied Weiss's request for special counsel status.
Like, if a special counsel is not warranted here, when is it?
And blocked Weiss's attempts to indict Hunter in California and Washington, D.C.
When you have the IRS coming to you saying Justice Department isn't letting the IRS criminal investigators do their job, that should set off alarm bells.
Weiss and Garland repeatedly denying any DOJ interference in the case. McCarthy saying if their probe finds truth to these allegations, Merrick Garland could face impeachment. We spoke with Alberto Gonzalez, former Attorney General for George W. Bush.
One could say you're not doing your job. There aren't, threats of impeachment when someone serves as Attorney General because you're involved in the most difficult, complex cases. You're always going to make someone mad by your decision.
The District of Delaware declining to comment. The Justice Department not responding to our request for a comment. Whistleblowers also offering evidence Joe Biden was involved in his son's business deals. In a 2017 WhatsApp message, Hunter Biden making demands of a Chinese associate, repeatedly mentioning his dad is right next to him. Biden pressed by reporters on Monday. As Republicans continue their investigation into what they call a two-tier Justice Department and the weaponization of the DOJ, FBI Director Christopher Wray will take the hot seat before Congress July 12th. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
All right, here we go. Remaining on weather alert. Now, don't be deceived here. Down Ocean City way, the severe weather hasn't reached those folks yet. That's why there's some sunshine. But everybody else being impacted by all of the bad storms rolling through downtown, Towson Cam, as well as our Len Stoller traffic network. You can see the rain on the lens, the traffic moving by slowly, probably impeded by some of that rain. Thankfully, the severe weather is now beginning to move off the western side of the bay. Our friends here on the eastern shore, yes, you have to take cover. Severe thunderstorm warning for the area of Kent Island as well as Queenstown, all the way down south towards St. Michael's. This is where we've got this batch of cells that continues to move its way south and east. We take a look at the volumetric on this. You'll actually get a better picture of what's going on. Let's see if we could pop that. We might actually not have that working on our radar right now. Let's give it one more shot. And you can see here, oh, there we go. Actually, it looks like we do have it. Let's pull that back up one more time. You can really see these things building way upstairs into the atmosphere. As we tilt our map, you can see these building way up high, and that's actually harnessing some of the winds as well as potentially some very heavy rain, even some hail. Again, most of the stuff that was on the western side of the bay is beginning to move east, but leaving behind a trail of flood warnings. A flood warning right now continues for Baltimore City. We've had 1 to 3 inches of rain. This goes to Baltimore County, southwestern Harford County. Turn around, don't drown. If you see water ahead of you on the road, turn around, take an alternate route. We also have still some flash flood warnings in effect up toward Harford County, Cecil County line, and then south and west toward PG County, Anne Arundel County line. Also, there's a flash flood warning continuing well into the evening hours. And this is because of this, what you see here. Again, most of that other rain has moved east, but what's left is the 1 to 3+ inches that we saw fall in only an hour or two. So this is a big problem for travels. If you do see any water covering roadways, it's going to kind of snarl your commute here. You're going to want to take alternate routes. Baldwin Hills getting anywhere up to about 2.5 inches of rain on our radar. Cold front, it is weakening as it pushes eastbound. It will introduce drier air by tomorrow, but that is the weather maker that's been giving us all the rain and thunderstorms and nasty weather past couple of days, and continues to do so. You see it on the Toyota East Inner Harbor Skycam. Really some mean skies here. 71, the dew point at 65 means it's sticky, it's steamy. Showers and storms again rolling onto the eastern shore by about 5:30. Wouldn't give the all clear here until probably about 7. After that, that does move east. There still could be some stray showers into the early overnight. By about midnight, those move away. And looks like the humidity actually does begin to drop off later on tonight. An additional 1 to 2 inches rain and some downpours, especially now eastern shore. Tomorrow clears out, 84, 88 on Thursday. Could see some spot storms later on Friday, 89 there. And near 90 to introduce us into the July 4th holiday weekend. Better chance of showers, storms Saturday, Sunday, but it dries out just in time for Monday and the 4th.
Coming up at 5 o'clock, the president touting his Bidenomics on the campaign trail, taking a closer look at how his policies are impacting the economy.
She has a rare cancer, but friends and family members of the support squad rallying around. They're asking for your help. I'm Liz Bonus. How you can join in and make a difference. It is just ahead.
The U.S. records new infections of malaria for the first time in 20 years. The 5 cases were recorded in Florida and Texas. The CDC says they do not appear to be linked, and all patients are now in recovery. The agency is recommending people use repellent and wear long-sleeve shirts and pants to protect against mosquitoes. A young runner who is diagnosed with a rare form of cancer is trying to get the word out about the early warning signs. Medical reporter Liz Bonus shares the story of this brave survivor.
Hey there, hello to you, friends and family of this courageous young woman with this cancer known as a sarcoma, stepping up to help raise awareness and much more. They're inviting you to be part of Shannon Russell's support squad.
I'm a pretty avid runner, so I just thought I found a little bit of a lump, but I thought it was just swelling from doing some runs.
But as Shannon showed me, that swelling continued in her leg and became painful.
And at that point, I hadn't really been running as much, so kind of figured, like, at that point, I should probably go get it checked.
By the time she met with Dr. Benjamin Koritsky, a medical oncologist at Ohio's Tri-Health, she needed treatment right away for this rare sarcoma. It's often tough to detect because
it can start in many different places in the body. It can start in various bones, soft tissue or connective tissue, the GI tract.
Shannon, who also had a rare eye cancer as a child and survived it, says what's getting her through this tough time? Her support squad. A friend with Possibility Unlimited designed these T-shirts to sell for unexpected medical costs. Shannon was a Camp Possibility volunteer. So why speak up about this? What is it that you want people to know?
Just being able to be aware of any lumps, any bumps.
Catching these and other early warning signs.
If you're having, really severe difficulty moving a joint or moving a body part, that can be a warning sign of a sarcoma as well. Shortness of breath or chest pain can sometimes be a sign if it has spread to the lungs.
Can lead to good options for treatment and a cure. As for what all this support from family and friends has brought to her life,
having some grit and just being able to, like, push through.
That grit and hopefully a little grace expected to help Shannon go through the next part of her journey. Also, she needs radiation and hopefully surgery to follow. We will continue to share her journey. I'm medical reporter Liz Bonus. Now back to you.
Coming up on Fox 45 News at 5, a group of over 100 Baltimore residents saying they won't be taken advantage of. The latest on the lawsuit against BGE. Plus, we're continuing our weather alert coverage with the Chevy Storm Tracker, showing you how it looks on the roads right now. The latest on the conditions across Maryland. We're continuing to track storms across Maryland tonight. The latest on conditions right now and when things could clear up. Defendants in two separate drug busts released from police custody. Fox 45 News is looking into concerns over Maryland's home monitoring systems and whether they're putting your safety at risk. And they claim BGE is taking advantage of city residents. The latest on the class action lawsuit.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 5.
We are on weather alert tonight. This is a live look at our radar, the current conditions at the Inner Harbor, Towson, and our Chevy Storm Tracker driving along I-695 near Parkville right now.
The rain coming after a string of storms we've been dealing with this week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maxine Stryker in for Cry Tonight.
And I'm Mary Bubala. Let's go right to Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers with the latest on the rain and what comes next. It's pretty nasty out there, Jonathan.
Yeah, guys, really just some awful weather quickly developing right during the first portion of our afternoon commute. Let's go ahead and take that radar full. We can show you, again, a severe thunderstorm warning continues until 5:15 p.m. That's going to be for Queen Anne's County. So these areas that are in this flashing red, that's where you've got the worst weather. Potentially could have anywhere up to about 60, 65, 70 mile an hour winds and gusts and some nickel to quarter sized hail out of any of this. This is kind of the same situation that we saw yesterday with some of the hail and the high winds, plus also some heavy rain. Although the western side of the Chesapeake Bay is done with the severe weather, at least at this point, there's still a flood warning in effect for Baltimore City, Baltimore County, up into central southern portions of Harford County. Now, it doesn't mean we're out of the drought. It just means we saw too much rain in too little of a time. So be aware that some of the bodies of water around the area, including rivers, streams, creeks, they could be near bankfull pretty quick. So you want to avoid getting anywhere near those or into those. And also, make sure if you see water over the roads, places like Harford County, where we've got a flash flood warning, and Arundel County, turn around, don't drown. Take another route. That is going to be the way to go. And things will improve as we head into the remainder of the evening hours. Notice by about 6:45, 7 o'clock, that's pushing off the eastern shore. But we are still tracking those storms hour by hour. I'm going to let you know when the next round could come and if it could impact your July 4th plans in my Weather Authority forecast.
Thank you, Jonathan. Tonight's weather comes after those intense storms we saw late last night. Conditions got particularly bad in West Towson. Take a look at this. One of our viewers, Jason, sending in pictures of the damage to his home. A thick tree branch putting a hole through the roof, landing right in his kitchen. And outside, uprooted trees fell on houses in that same neighborhood, destroying garages, fences, and much more.
Meantime, a fire in an apartment complex in Bel Air is being blamed on lightning during last night's storms. One woman who lives there says the fire spread so quickly. Fox 45's Shannon Lilly has the details.
In a single flash of light Monday night,
I was sitting reading a book and all of a sudden I started smelling smoke.
A bolt of electricity pierces through the peace in Luis Genero's evening.
And I looked out the blind and all I saw was flames and I just started screaming fire.
Her Bel Air home of 24 years ablaze. She immediately springs into action.
My roommate and I just kept banging on doors until people opened and we just kept yelling fire, fire.
And when she gets out, this.
By the time we got downstairs, the flames were the whole side of that roof. I mean, that fast. By the time I left my unit and, got everybody out, it was that fast.
Meanwhile, across the street, Rich Naldrit with a different vantage point.
The building here was engulfed. I've never seen flames that high before and that much fire.
The fury of Mother Nature on full display.
With the thundering and lightning, that's the first thing I thought of was it had to be lightning.
Sure enough, it was. A team of deputy state fire marshals confirming lightning was the cause of this 2-alarm fire along Sheridan Place. The bolt striking the roof of the Taylor Ridge condominiums, igniting the blaze that triggered a partial collapse. It took 75 firefighters from multiple departments around 30 minutes to bring the fire under control, everyone making it out okay, though one person took themselves to the hospital. Meanwhile, 26 people, including Genero, are now temporarily or permanently without their home.
I just kept watching and it's like, that's everything I own. That's my home. You walk out and what you have on is what you have. That's it. You don't have anything else. But we are alive and we're not hurt.
Shannon Lilly, Fox 45 News.
Put the power of the Weather Authority Storm Center in your hands. Download the free WBFF Weather Authority app for your smartphone and use our powerful Doppler radar to follow storms right down to your street. Just go to the App Store, search WBFF to get started.
Some new information now as we learn a firefighter has lost his life in the line of duty while responding to a scene in St. Mary's County. The fire started around 5 o'clock this morning in Leonardtown. As crews tried to put out the fire, the building collapsed and the firefighter fell into the basement where he was trapped. A group of firefighters were able to free him. He was rushed to the hospital where he died from his injuries.
That's where we're at. We're grieving the loss right now, and thoughts and prayers to the family and to the larger Navy team. We lost a true hero this morning that went in without hesitation to save others and lost his own life in the process.
Officials have not yet identified the firefighter. Another firefighter was also injured during the response.
Drugs, guns, and violence. Fox 45 News is asking questions after some defendants in 2 recent drug trafficking busts have been granted pre-trial release. Alexa Ashwell delves into the long-standing concerns surrounding Maryland's home monitoring system. She joins us live now with what officials are saying about these cases. Alexa?
Well, Mary, the concern is these defendants, whether they were granted pretrial services, pretrial release, or they're simply awaiting their court date, will continue to commit other crimes while they're waiting. It's happened before, and officials admit it's a problem.
Drugs, guns, 10 dealers off our streets, and 22 firearms off our streets. And violence. We have had way too many shootings, way too many too much recruitment of our young people into these networks. Authorities in Anne Arundel County just announcing indictments against 10 people in what was the biggest cocaine bust in its police department's history. 7 of them issued a criminal summons, meaning they are not being held until their court date. And in Baltimore, 7 of the 8 do have criminal records. Authorities also just announcing the takedown of a drug trafficking ring. 2 of the defendants granted pretrial release.
2 individuals that, though they did receive electronic home detention, 24/7 lockdown, and those are the decisions of the judges.
Here, the mayor acknowledging the long-standing concern with Maryland's home monitoring systems.
I'll take a point of privilege to highlight the frustrations that we've had with home monitoring over the years.
Frustration over the proper monitoring of those on home confinement and the risk of the defendants committing other crimes. Somebody just ran over a cop. Like in 2018, when Baltimore County police officer Amy Caprio was hit and killed by a teen who investigators say was supposed to be on home confinement at the time. Or in 2021, when investigators say suspect Angelo Harrod had cut off his ankle monitor before shooting and killing a Navy midshipman's mother in Annapolis. Or Antonio Bardney, who investigators say removed his electronic monitor while on pretrial release for murder. A murder he allegedly committed while wearing an ankle monitor for a different crime. Federal authorities having to join the search for him.
He's not scared of being arrested. He's not scared of ankle monitoring. And he's going to continue to do these crimes until he is put behind bars.
Leaders have acknowledged the issue, and even some lawmakers taken action.
I'm also working with the mayor in reference to home monitor. And those folks that are violating their home monitor, how can we make sure that our police immediately know so that they can take them off the streets?
But concern remains.
So we'll be monitoring that very closely because we've known that, unfortunately, folks of home monitoring seem to not be monitored sometimes.
Now, going back to the Anne Arundel County case, we're told of the 10 defendants, 1 is still outstanding, identified as Tony Horn Jr. 2 were denied bond. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Alexa, thank you. Another shooting in Baltimore early this morning. Just after 2 a.m., a 40-year-old man walked into the hospital after being shot in the hand. The victim telling police the shooting happened on Orleans Avenue near North Montford in East Baltimore. Anyone with information is asked to call Baltimore police. According to Baltimore police, 300 people have survived being shot in Baltimore this year, and 133 have been killed. Those numbers are down from this time last year.
Police are now investigating human remains found last year as a murder. Last September, officers found the skeletal remains in the backyard of a vacant home on West Lexington Street. They were taken to the medical examiner's office for evaluation. Investigators now say the bones belong to a man whose cause of death was severe trauma.
This lawsuit will make clear to the courts, and we hope to the public, that BG&E is not on your side. They are doing what they've always done, protecting and profiting off of the backs of customers in Baltimore City.
Those bold allegations today from the group of Baltimore residents suing BGE. Right now, the utility company is installing thousands of external gas regulators throughout the city. Fox 45's Amy Simpson is live as this legal battle continues tonight. Amy?
Maxine, so far more than 100 people have signed on to this class action lawsuit, which is accusing the utility company of illegally threatening, gas service shutoffs if homeowners do not agree to have these external gas meters installed outside of their homes. This class action suit was just filed in Baltimore City Court on Friday afternoon, just a day after 3 of the plaintiffs in the case were arrested for intentionally blocking utility crews from doing utility work in Federal Hill. An attorney for more than 100 of those residents behind the lawsuit says lawyers on both sides right now are working behind the scenes to get schedules in order as the plaintiffs are trying to get an emergency hearing on the books. The plaintiffs say they're also calling on BGE to stop this construction in the meantime.
If they're so confident they're going to prevail in court, just take a minute to allow these homeowners to not have their gas cut off while there is pending litigation.
And Amy, how is BGE responding to this lawsuit?
So today, the utility company said it would not comment on active litigation, but in previous statements over the last week or so, the company has claimed that it's done nothing illegal and said that insists that this project is for safety and to speed up gas delivery for customers around Baltimore, saying it spent more than a year communicating this construction project to residents. Reporting live, Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
This just in, former Laurel Police Chief David Crawford has received 2 consecutive life sentences. He was convicted back in March on murder and arson charges. Prosecutors say he set a string of fires across 6 Maryland counties over a 10-year period. The fires targeted people like his neighbors, former co-workers, even his chiropractor. The 71-year-old entered an Alford plea but maintains his innocence.
And in Baltimore County, police investigating an Essex shooting. The crime scene is on South Maryland Avenue. Police say they found a man who had been shot just before noon today. He's in the hospital in critical condition. No word on a suspect.
Is a fight over flag rules what's best for kids? Pressing Anne Arundel County school leaders on whether a current debate is distracting from bigger issues in the school system.
And can you smoke it on the street or in your car? Answering the biggest questions surrounding marijuana legalization this weekend.
The White House launching a new messaging strategy to boost how people feel about the economy. I'm Atra Al-Nashar with a look at whether they have the numbers to back it up.
Fox 45 News, winner of 16 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Some key rulings from the Supreme Court today as the final week of its current session continues. The Supreme Court sided with state courts in a big elections case, effectively leaving them the authority to determine if congressional district maps are gerrymandered. The justices ruled on 6-3 vote that the North Carolina Supreme Court was correct in deeming the Republican drawn map partisan. North Carolina's map will be redrawn ahead of 2024. And all this comes as we're still waiting for two other key Supreme Court rulings on the president's student loan forgiveness plan and the use of affirmative action in admissions.
Is now leaning into the term Bidenomics as the president makes stops across the country to promote his economic agenda. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar reports on the president's new strategy and the uphill battle ahead.
Bidenomics, a word often used by the president's political opponents, is now one the Biden administration hopes to flip to their advantage. This week, kicking off part 2 of what the White House calls the Investing in America tour, showcasing results of legislation like the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the CHIPS and Science Act. Delivering 2 more speeches this week, starting Wednesday in Chicago.
We believe our job is to continue to speak to the American people, to lay out what it is that the president is doing on behalf of American families.
But the job won't be easy, though a new Gallup poll shows the president's overall approval rating is the highest it's been since last August at 43%. Gallup finds Americans have less economic confidence than they did when the president took office. The job market remains strong with unemployment at 3.7% and wage gains finally outpacing inflation. But for many, high prices are still a burden on everyday life. On Tuesday, the Conference Board released its latest reading of U.S. consumer confidence, and it showed their assessment of current conditions improved between May and June, but consumers lowered their expectations for income growth in the near term and plans to make a big purchase like a home or new car. Meanwhile, Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan sharing their recession forecast.
What we have predicted is a recession starting the first part of next year. Actually, we moved from the latter part of this to the first part of next year. But it's a mild recession, and that's given the strong jobs, the strong employment levels. Wage growth is still strong.
Moynihan says their outlook for prices shows it'll take until 2025 for inflation to fall to the Federal Reserve's target rate of 2%. Which, if that pans out, means the fight against high prices won't be won until after the 2024 election. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar reporting.
The weather alert tonight. This is a live look at our weather radar, a traffic camera just outside of Loch Raven, and the conditions on the roads from our Chevy Storm Tracker. Right now it is driving through Parkville. Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers in with the latest on the rain and what we can expect through the rest of the night. Jonathan?
Yeah, not too far away from Parkville. Actually had some reports out of these cells producing inch-size hail, and we also had a couple of trees down up in northeastern Harford County. So big problems coming out of storms this afternoon, anywhere after about 2-3 o'clock through really just about the past 15 minutes to a half hour as these are now pulling over onto the eastern shore east of the Bay Bridge. You can see all the damage reports and all these little circles that are on the map, and some of these, this big one right here, actually that is that hail report I was talking about right around Fullerton. And then heading on up into places in Harford County had some trees that were reported down in that area. Now we still do have a severe thunderstorm warning. Lots of lightning coming out of these. That's on the eastern side of the Bay Bridge, including Talbot County, Queen Anne's County. That extends all the way through 6 p.m. as it crosses the entire eastern shore. And still these cells looking real nasty. Again, as you're pulling across Kent Island, targeted now right around Easton as well as to Centerville. Now, the flood warning still on the backside of this line of storms as it has produced plenty of rain. That's kind of been the situation more so today, less so yesterday. We had some of the wind and the hail yesterday. Today, we've had some prolific rain producers. Flood warning still from Baltimore City southern Baltimore County up into central southern Hartford County. Then there's also a flood warning. It's a flash flood warning that's in effect for northern Hartford County into Cecil County, and then down Anne Arundel County way. There's also a flood warning where we also had some reports of hail out of the cell that produced flooding here. That's until 6:30 p.m. So the takeaway here, with 1 to 3+ inches of rain falling in a very short period of time, turn around, don't drown. Any of these areas that you see with the yellows and the dark greens, there's a potential that we have some overwash of some of the rivers, the streams, the creeks. You want to stay away from those, especially in the near term. And on top of that, it could be some ponding on the roadways. And if you see that ahead of you, you want to turn around, find another route. Look at Baldwin Hills, places around Odenton, getting anywhere up to about 1 inch to 3 inches of rain. Again, all in about an hour's period of time. Cold front continues to move eastbound. Finally, will turn drier behind this. It's taken like 2 days for this to come through, but I think tomorrow is going to be a better day. 72 now, winds out of the southeast at 3. Still a gloomy look, a little bit of rain reported at BWI. Still muggy too, but as these showers and storms continue to move to the eastern shore and out by about 7, 8 o'clock, you'll notice by tomorrow morning, although there still could be a shower or two through about midnight, not severe, but by tomorrow morning, I think it is going to dry. It will feel a lot better tomorrow, and especially as we head into Thursday, the humidity levels are going to be dropping. Now, in terms of rain totals, could see in some spots, especially eastern shore, I think, an additional inch or so of rain. That is all gone for tomorrow. The temperatures look good, 84, 88 on Thursday, so it does warm up, but the humidity comes down. Spotty storms later Friday. Those could continue for the first portion of the long extended holiday weekend, Saturday, Sunday, but you could probably dodge those and be okay. By July 4th, looks like it dries with some more seasonably hot temperatures.
Jonathan, thank you. We'll take a look at this video just sent in to us by a viewer. This was taken near Johns Hopkins Medical Campus in East Baltimore. A woman trying to cross the street, but it is completely flooded, and the car passing by splashing her as it tries to navigate the roads. That's incredible. Well, we want you to send us pictures of how tonight's storms are impacting your community. Just scan the QR code on your screen or head to foxbaltimore.com/chime in to share them with us. Is an argument over flags going to help keep kids in the classroom? Hearing from a concerned parent who says Anne Arundel County school leaders aren't focusing on the right things. We are just 4 days away from legal marijuana sales. Live at 5:30, a local defense attorney helps explain your rights when it comes to weed in Maryland. And a key piece of evidence released to the public, hearing the tape where former President Trump seems to admit to illegally sharing classified documents. Some new information now. A 2021 audio recording of former President Trump discussing secret documents he did not declassify has been obtained by CNN.
Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. But look at this.
The recording is a critical piece of evidence in Special Counsel Jack Smith's indictment of the former president for alleged mishandling of classified information. Prosecutors say Trump showed a writer, publisher, and staff members classified information about a plan of attack on Iran. A former Trump White House lawyer says it doesn't sound good.
It bolsters the government's claim under the Espionage Act. It also bolsters their claim, under the obstruction case. Because, one of the things he's been saying all along is that he could just, wave a magic wand and these documents are declassified.
In the recording, Trump goes on to say, as president, he could have declassified it, adding that it is still secret. His staffer laughs and responds, "Now we have a problem." Trump faces 37 felony charges. He says the prosecution is politically motivated and that he is not guilty. The Trump aide charged in the classified documents case was not arraigned as expected today. A lawyer for Walt Nauta says he couldn't make it to South Florida due to flight delays. Nauta's hearing is now set for July 6th. He is expected to plead not guilty to 6 counts, including obstruction and concealment. Prosecutors say he helped move boxes containing classified documents at Trump's direction and then lied to the FBI about it. Gas prices are going up right before the busy travel weekend. The pushback on a decades-old gas tax policy tonight. Will it send the right message to criminals in Baltimore? A legal expert weighs in on possible impact of Ivan Bates' new citation docket. Taking a live look outside now, we're continuing to follow those storms that are moving across the state. These are the current conditions at the Inner Harbor, Towson, and on the roads from our Chevy Storm Tracker driving near Parkville. Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers is in now with the latest on when these storms could roll in or out of your area. How about that, Jonathan?
Yeah, it really depends on where you are. They're still rolling in over portions of the eastern shore, but most of us have seen the worst of it pass and now move east of the Bay Bridge. You see severe thunderstorm warning still remains in effect for Caroline County, and that's until about 6 p.m. Also 6 p.m. Talbot County, and then down toward Caroline County. That's until 6:15. That's all those cells that came through our neck of the woods, just about an hour or two ago. You take a look at what we call the volumetric scan. This gives you a good 3D view of some of these cells rolling onto the eastern shore, really building way up high into the atmosphere. So accessing some winds, as well as when you get up there, it gets cold, accessing some of that cold air to make some hail. And boy, we've actually gotten some hail reports out of some of this. Go ahead, take a look here. You can see all the wind gust reports Annapolis eastbound, but all these hail reports, some quarter-size hail near Odenton, up in Fullerton, getting about 1-inch hail, and then even some wind damage around Scarborough in Harford County, where we had some trees down in that area. Still a flood warning in effect, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, up into Harford County. Flash flood warnings for Harford County and Anne Arundel County. If you see water ahead of you, turn around, don't drown, use another route. Showers and storms again gradually tapering off, moving to the eastern shore and exiting after sunset. I'm going to let you know when things are going to be getting rougher again. Another risk of showers and storms towards the July 4th holiday weekend. My Weather Authority forecast.
Some of our viewers are sharing videos of the storms tonight. On the left, Jim in Parkville sending us this clip of a downpour right on his porch. And on the right, Max in Baltimore sharing that video of the rain coming down hard just outside his apartment. To send us your videos, head to foxbaltimore.com/chime-in.
And you can track the storms right down to your street using the free WBFF Weather Authority app for your smartphone. Just go to App Store, search WBFF to get started.
We're heading in the wrong direction. It's just becoming more and more limiting. And I think any good teacher knows that, a strong classroom is a classroom that can teach to all.
We always only had the United States flag in our classroom. And I really think that's what we need to do.
Turning now to the crisis in the classroom as Anne Arundel County schools weigh a proposed policy that would ban flags that don't have an educational purpose. That policy was the primary focus of a school board meeting last night and has been top of mind for school leaders, parents, and students for weeks now.
Tonight, Fox 45 is pressing leaders on whether efforts like this are truly what's best for kids and that the issue has distracted from bigger problems impacting students' education.
Fox 45's Olivia Dance joins us live now from Annapolis with the latest. Olivia?
That's right, Mary and Maxine. The proposed policy was talked about for hours and hours at last night's board meeting, which was here at school headquarters. But now some are wondering if all of this is taking away from the main focus, which is student achievement. Hundreds of protesters gathering outside Anne Arundel County School headquarters before the board meeting, some for and some against the proposed flag policy, which would ban flags other than the American, Maryland, Anne Arundel County, and Annapolis flags, effectively banning flags like the pride flag.
I don't know why we're not talking about student achievement. We're going to probably talk about this for hours and hours tonight, and that's hours and hours lost of not talking about our kids and what they need.
School board member Dana Schalheim was right. Most of Monday's board meeting was spent talking about the proposed policy.
I don't think just taking flags out of classrooms or just having an American flag in a classroom is going to solve the issues that we have within the school system now, as far as the test scores falling behind or children falling behind.
Some parents like Carrie Gillespie are concerned about their students' education, especially progress lost during the pandemic.
Our children are still suffering from that. There haven't been discussions that I would like to hear from a state level as far as how are we going to make up those gaps in achievement and learning that were lost.
Maryland Schools report card for the 2021 to 2022 school year showing all grade levels in Anne Arundel County did not meet the criteria for improvement in academic achievement. Despite the flag policy being the main focus right now and not on student performance, Gillespie thinks the policy is a start to improving the school system.
Let's get the distractions out of classrooms. Let's return the focus to academics and to teaching our children the core subjects.
County board member Melissa Ellis agrees more time needs to be spent on academics, but also says that's what the proposed flag policy is about.
The classroom really is for learning, and it's not the place to enact social justice. It is the place to develop the mind so that our students can become the citizens that are going to carry us all forward.
So far, over 1,000 public comments have been made on the proposed policy, and the public can still make comments before the next board meeting. The next meeting is July 12th, where there will most likely be a final vote. For now, reporting live in Annapolis, I'm Olivia Dance, Fox 45 News.
Ivan Bates' new citation docket aims to crack down on low-level quality-of-life crimes to send a message about law enforcement to all criminals. This morning, Fox 45's Megan Gillen spoke with a law enforcement expert about the impact it could have.
Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates' new citation docket has now been in effect for 2 weeks. It prosecutes low-level crimes, a reversal from his predecessor's policies. Law enforcement expert Mari Richards weighing in on the impact this could have. Mari, for months, you've been telling me this is something that Baltimore needs. How long do you think it takes to see the results?
It's going to take a little while. It's really hard to overestimate the damage that Marilyn Mosby did to law enforcement in Baltimore. So we have, but Ivan Bates is right on the money. You have to have order and safety and freedom from fear in these communities, and prosecuting these crimes, shutting down open-air drug markets is key. And this is the way to do it.
Looking at all sides here, Mari, the plan itself has been met with some pushback by some who believe that it would disproportionately target people of color. What are your thoughts on that?
You have to look at the victims. A lot of these people that are anti-police, they're worried about criminals. They never worry about victims. And the victims primarily are going to be in black neighborhoods. So these are the people that want this enforcement and want that help.
Richards went on to say that he believes turning the crime crisis around starts at that neighborhood level. You can watch this entire interview on foxbaltimore.com. I'm Megan Gilland, Fox 45 News.
We are less than a week away from recreational marijuana becoming legal in Maryland. On Saturday, stores will open for the first time to the general public, allowing anyone 21 years and older to buy pot statewide. Dispensaries talking with Fox 45 are expecting intense demand this weekend, with some sellers expecting thousands of customers a day. And as stores prepare to open, we're trying to sort through the state's marijuana law so you know what to expect when those sales begin.
That's right. We're joined right now by criminal defense attorney Kurt Nachman. Kurt, thanks so much for being here with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
So take us to Saturday. Weed will now be legal in Maryland. I feel like we've been talking about it for such a long time. When and where are you allowed to smoke it? Can you sit on your front porch and smoke it? Can you smoke it on a public street? Give us some idea of what the guidelines are.
So those are all excellent questions. They have not been addressed at the local county ordinance level at all. So there aren't any, at least as far as I'm aware, any local county ordinances that are going to ban the smoking and use of marijuana in a public place. However, there is a statewide prohibition against the use of marijuana in a public place. In other words, open smoking, similar to an open container type law. Can't go out and drink alcohol in public. You shouldn't be able to go and smoke marijuana in public. It's only a finable offense, doesn't carry any jail time. Most importantly, the General Assembly also passed a law that indicated police can't stop and search you based on the smell or suspicion of marijuana only.
And what about safety on the road? Can you smoke pot in your car? As you said, police do not have the right to search your car if they just smell pot during a traffic stop, right?
So that's a really good question. So driving under the influence of any substance is illegal. Now, it remains to be seen whether or not it will be an offense that can be charged under 21902 of the Transportation Article C or D. D, which is under the influence of drugs, controlled dangerous substance drugs carries a maximum penalty of a year in jail. 21902C, which is under the influence of prescription drugs, carries a maximum penalty of 60 days in jail. It remains to be seen where that's going to fall. Also, one of the critical issues is officers, unlike alcohol, don't have a rapid test that has been scientifically proven to determine the presence of marijuana in someone's system. So there's going to be a lot of evidentiary issues that are going to come out over the next couple months, couple years related to driving into the influence of marijuana.
Well, let's talk about workplace drug policies. Marijuana is still a Schedule I drug federally while being legal in the state of Maryland come Saturday. Is there a risk you will be fired if you smoke recreationally?
Absolutely. If your workplace has a bona fide work-related drug prohibition policy and you get caught violating that prohibition because it is illegal federally, it is also can be grounds for termination, good cause grounds for termination. But also, if you think about it, it makes sense. If you're operating a forklift and you're under the influence of marijuana, or if you're driving a commercial truck, or anything where you're operating a motor vehicle, you can't be under the influence of prescription drugs. You can't be under the influence of an excessive dose of anything that can make you drowsy and potentially impair you in the workplace. So I don't think that's really that much of a shift to ask that people show up to work sober.
All right, some great information for the public here tonight. Kurt, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Well, also happening this weekend, a gas tax increase statewide. Because of a 2013 policy, the state's gas tax is annually adjusted for inflation without a new vote from state leaders. This year, that means it is going to rise roughly 10%, bringing the total gas tax to around 47 cents a gallon. The hike comes just days before the 4th of July weekend, during what is expected to be one of the busiest travel weekends in the year. Republican lawmakers in the state legislature now calling on the policy to be repealed.
Meantime, nearly 1 million Marylanders are expected to travel this upcoming weekend for the 4th of July. According to AAA, around 874,000 of those will do it on the road. Safety experts are warning travelers to drive safely amid a nationwide spike in deadly car accidents. Air travel numbers, they're also up. They're expected to be 10% higher than last year, with a slight increase over pre-pandemic numbers. Federal agencies didn't take the threat seriously. The new report detailing what could have been done to stop the January 6th riots.
Answering the call, I'm Angela Brown in Washington, D.C. Crisis centers struggling to staff the nation's new mental health hotline as more Americans call in. One solution that could impact your phone bill.